Well, Republicans in Arizona voted for Senate Bill 1109, which was a measure designed to prohibit the Chinese government and its state-owned enterprise from acquiring a 30% or greater interest in Arizona real estate. But then Governor Hobbs said, actually, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Even though lawmakers voted it through, she went ahead and vetoed it. Why? She said it was ineffective at counter-espionage. Like, we just don't need it. Like, I like the idea of it, but we just kind of don't need it right now. Not important. Going to throw this in the trash. Well, the Senate and the representatives there are going to try to push it through because they voted for it on behalf of their constituents. Joining us to discuss is Arizona State Representative Andy Biggs. He's running for governor to get Katie Hobbs out of there. So he's got a lot to say on the matter. So how does it feel to pass legislation you think is important and then have the governor just throw it in the trash? Why do you even come to work?
Well, so the governor here does not acknowledge that China actually is effectively a Cold War adversary, and that's her problem, right? And so she's got a problem with that. Number one, and number two, she can veto it now because there's a veto-proof legislature in Arizona. We have majorities, but we don't have the necessary supermajorities to override. But the third thing is, and this is what I find most interesting, I actually was on a phone call with someone today, a real estate guy, and I said, tell me what's going on. And he said, Andy, there actually was an attempt by a straw man to purchase land across the street from Luke Air Force Base, which is, by the way, is a training facility for the U.S. Air Force. And he said, finally, once it got peeled back, the brokers said, we're not going to sell it to you because they discovered that it was a straw man for China. That's the point. This is happening all over, and this governor is not paying attention. And there's a lot of people say, well, it's only 1% of all the agricultural land, but it's near sensitive sites, whether it's dams, electrical infrastructure, military bases. That's where they're buying it. The Chinese are buying it, and they now own billions of dollars. In 2020, they went from 2020 to 2021. They doubled their holdings in the United States. And in 2020, it was $1.9 billion. And in 2021, it was over $3.5 billion. And now who knows how many billions of dollars, because we don't keep track of it. It's amazing.
Right. Well, her response is, we don't really need it. Right. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to see that.
Right.
Go ahead, Clayton.
Yeah. Congressman, I want to ask you, so we covered this story last week after the veto, and so many people in our chat room had said, well, because they said, why is China buying up so much land? And so many of our viewers said, well, the real question is, why are we allowing them to do it? It's not, they are buying it up because, it's easy to do. As you mentioned, you could just use a straw man LLC and just, who knows, right? I mean, it's how Walt Disney bought up all the orange groves. No one knew that it was Walt Disney buying up all the orange groves in Florida. If they knew it was him, they probably would have put their foot down and wouldn't have allowed it. But so why are we allowing this to happen in the first place?
Well, 20 states have actually prohibited it already. Most of them what? Red states, right? So 20 states have said no. We've introduced legislation multiple times here. We actually have pending legislation here that we need to get through the federal government. And the reason that we have allowed it here is because the Democrats, the left, has fought us in Congress for years saying, well, that's really anti-Asian. You're being anti-Asian. That's nothing could be further from the truth. What we are is we are anti-spying from an economic and military superpower that wishes to be the world's hegemon. And if this was the former USSR, I think you would have gotten probably 90% of people in Congress to say, no, we're not going to sell the USSR land, especially not near our critical infrastructure. So what you have, though, is the far left since the demise of the Soviet Union and the Cold War has become so anti-American that they're willing to actually sell this land, see it acquired without constraint. The other thing, too, I would tell you is that has to happen is We have to have better tracking and auditing measures to know who is buying up that land. And people are very nervous about that because because then all of a sudden, do you have a federal registry? What's going on here? But I can tell you that one of our problems is you don't know, because of the strawman situation, and China's pretty good at hiding this, you don't know who's buying all the land. But what we have to do is we've got to at least get it on the books to say you can't do it.
Yeah, especially in your secretive or U.S. military installations right next door, where there's very little or no commercial value at all. So why are they buying this land there? Go ahead.
Well, one of the ways that Democrats shoot down legislation, and we see this in California when, for instance, the law is to lower the age of sexual predators to 15, that if and they said, no, let's keep it at 17. And when you ask them, why don't you want to protect 15-year-olds? They say, oh, well, just not like this. We do want that, but just not like this. And then you never see a revision law. So it's like, this is the way that they refute things is, yeah, this might be a problem, but just not like this. But no productive revisions. And that's what this reminds me of. And so what do you think the governor has a plan, or she's just hoping this will go away?
Well, the governor doesn't have a plan. And this is consistent with where she has been, like, for instance, on the border. She disbanded the Border Security Task Force. She took down the container walls that the previous governor had put up. She had done nothing on the border until I announced I was going to run against her. And the border is a big issue, and everybody in the state knows where my position is on the border. So all of a sudden she's, oh, okay, well, let's try to do something on that. It's similar to this. It's basically she just doesn't have a plan, number one. Number two, I'm not sure that she really can process the issue that's really there, because the issue is real. Because not only does Arizona have Luke Air Force Base, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, we have a place where you train out in the Barry Goldwater range that we have training pilots and missile launchers and a whole series of things. But folks, I'm just telling you, we also have a series of dams. The water that comes in that supplies 5 million people as a series of dams. You've got Hoover Dam. You've got Glen Canyon Dam. All these are major dams, power supply, water supply, and she's not going to protect those infrastructures. She clearly, in my opinion, doesn't have a plan, nor can she process the potential hazard for the state.
And you are running against her. You threw your hat into the ring for the 2026 gubernatorial race. President Trump, I think it was a few weeks ago, threw his endorsement behind you. That's a big endorsement. A lot of people, though, are concerned. We've seen what happens in Arizona. We see what happens with these ballots. A lot of people say, well, we'd love to vote for Andy Biggs, but can we trust that the system is actually going to work there? My gosh, we saw what happened with Kari Lake. What do you say to that?
I say 180,000 votes, and here's the way you think of it. Donald Trump won by 180,000 votes. That's the largest margin in any battleground state. So he demonstrated that what his theory was too big to rig, right? I mean, so he demonstrated that actually works. And so what we need to do is we've got a new election integrity, not integrity, but the county recorder. He supervises elections in Maricopa County, which is the biggest county in the state by far. And so he's trying to get it cleaned up with voter rolls and that type of thing. We control the board of supervisors who wants a clean election as well. So if they work in a collaborative fashion, we believe we can get, well, maybe not perfect, but we can get a pretty good election. And that's all we need right now, because we've got a voter registration advantage. We're going to get people out to vote. And when they do, we can overtake some of the just inherent systemic problems we have in Arizona. And then, by the way, same governor vetoed legislation that would have given us Florida-style election integrity, which, as you know, Florida is about 3 times as big as Arizona. Arizona's about 7.5 million. Florida's 3 times as big. And somehow they're able to get their results on the night of the election, and Arizona drips and drabs 2, 3, 4 weeks behind. And so if we can make it through this election cycle, you'll have the governor that'll sign a bill that'll give us a new, clean election system.
Can you imagine voting against election integrity? That's the state of Arizona right now. Congressman, good luck to you in this gubernatorial race. We'll be watching it very very closely here on Redacted. Don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you back on.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thanks, Congressman. Great to see you.